We are going to talk about the passive voice. The passive voice is formed by means of the auxiliary verb to be in the required form and participle to of the notional verb. The present, past and future simple passive are formed by means of the present, past and future simple of the auxiliary verb to be and participle to of the notional verb. So look at the examples. I am invited to the dinner party every Saturday. Am invited. It is the present simple passive. Am is the form of the verb to be in the first person singular in the present simple tense. Invited is the participle to of the regular verb invite. So the verb invite is a regular verb. That's why to form participle to, we add the ending ed to the stem of this verb. The next example. I was invited to the dinner party last Saturday. Was invited. It's the past simple passive. Was is the form of the verb to be in the third person singular in the past simple tense. Invited is the participle to. And one more example. I will be invited to the dinner party next Saturday. Will be invited. It is the future simple passive. Will be is the form of the verb to be in the future simple tense. Invited, it is the form of the participle to. So the use of the passive voice. The passive voice can be used the first way, without the do of the action being mentioned. For example, many new schools are built every year. And the second way, with the do of the action being mentioned. This happens only when the do of the action is to some extent emphasized. The noun or pronoun denoting the do of the action is introduced by the preposition by. For example, the book was written by a famous writer. So the ways of translating the passive voice into Russian. There are three ways of translating the passive voice into Russian. The first way is by the verb быть плюс краткая форма причастия страдательного залога. In the present, the verb быть is not used. The second way, by the verbs in the suffix of the Russian language «se». And the third way, by means of indefinite personal constructions, неопределенное личное предложение. The last way of translating is possible only if the do of the action is not mentioned. For example, houses are built of stone. Дома строятся из камня. Дома строят из камня. The house was built in 1932. Дом был построен в 1932 году. Дом построили в 1932 году. The experiment will be made by a famous scientist in 2 years. Опыт будет произведен знаменитым ученым через 2 года. Now look at the examples from the texts which are you going to listen to. She is engaged to another man. Let's analyze this sentence. Is engaged. It is present simple passive. Is the form of the verb to be in the third person singular in the present simple tense. Engaged is the form of the participle to. The verb engage is a regular verb. That's why to form the participle to, we add the ending ed. So the translation of this sentence will be «Она помолвлена с другим мужчиной». The second example. Although it was published 200 years ago, it is still a great read and really funny in parts. Was published. It is past simple passive. Was is the form of the verb to be in the third person singular in the past simple tense. Published, it is the participle to. So the translation of this sentence, несмотря на то, что она была опубликована 200 лет назад, она до сих пор прекрасно читается и местами действительно забавна. The third example. Even though it was made back in 1999, it still feels really modern. Was made. It is the past simple passive. Was is the form of the verb to be in the third person singular in the past simple tense. Made. It is the form of the participle to. So the translation of this sentence, несмотря на то, что он был сделан еще в 1999 году, он все еще выглядит очень современным. And the last example. One day he is contacted by a woman who introduces him to a very strange man, Morpheus. Is contacted. It is the present simple passive. Is the form of the verb to be in the third person singular in the present simple tense. Contacted is the form of the participle to. So the translation of this sentence. Однажды с ним связывается женщина, которая знакомит его с очень странным мужчиной, Морфеусом. So now you are going to practice the passive voice in the present, past and future tenses in the exercises.